dreamer. Either wanted to be an actress, a teacher, a queen. You could be her Caesar, but she's insecure, so she let them mistreat her. Giddy when you say nice to meet ya. Eager to marry cause she thought it was the keys to a better life where the pastures were greener. So she let a knucklehead gas her and geese her. But he took away her freedom, and he would beat her until the police come. Couldn't muster the courage to leave him. This is not the lifestyle that she ever dreamed of. It only gets deeper. Now I shed a tear every time when I see her. Pretty young thing growing up in the hood. A pretty young thing growing up in the hood. Such a pretty young thing, thing, thing. A pretty young thing, thing, thing. A pretty young thing growing up in the hood. A pretty young thing growing up in the hood. Such a pretty young thing, thing, thing. Such a pretty young thing, thing, thing. Let me tell you about Brenda the dancer. Had a smile with some playful banter. Graduated from a school in Atlanta. Now in New York cause she wants to advance her career. She thought it was the answer, and she met the choreographer that would amp her. Whisper sweet nothings in her ear. Tell her everything that he knows she wants to hear. Like you'll do this, it'll further